right, it's Monday, December 17th. It's 54 degrees outside. We're getting down to Christmas time, and where the guys, you can kind of feel the guys slowing down. Today we started off on a different location than we have been working, which is the same location. On the school that we're working for, we're building 4 new buildings. We're building 4 new buildings. We're building a band room, we're building a field house, an elementary school set of classrooms, and a middle school set of classrooms. Most of the stuff that I've talked to you about has either been the elementary school or the field house. They are blocking the field house right now. They poured the concrete on the deck for the elementary school, and they just put up the iron framework for the elementary school. Right this moment, or today at least, we were working at the middle school because they want that middle school done by June 6th, and so they're kind of rocking and rolling on that one. The blockers were blocking. Silly to say out loud, but that's definitely what they were doing. They were running block down this central hallway, which is like a safe zone, like it's a FEMA zone or something. It's a big safe room. It's a big concrete block safe room. So while the entire building is going to be wood framed, and steel framed and wood framed, the center portion of the building is going to be concrete block, and that's just to make it tornado shelter or whatever. I'm really not sure what the purpose, but what we're having to do is kind of just babysit the block guys and make sure that our boxes are going in where they need to go in. So what we have is 4-inch square boxes that are 2 1/8 inch deep and 2-inch deep raised single device mud rings, because there's going to be 2 inches of 2 inches of insulation and stuff after the block. So anyway, so what we're having to do is put these mud rings on. So I kind of lost track of my thoughts there. So we're prefabricating pieces. So what we're doing is we're taking a 4-inch box, a 2.5-inch mud ring, a 1/2-inch or a 3/4 adapter, and a 30-inch piece of EMT. We're putting all those together. We are taping everything shut, and then we are setting it kind of where it needs to be. Now we have a bunch of them built up, or just don't have them set out because they've only got 1 string of boxes, or 1 string of blocks done. Just one, like maybe 60-foot section of blocks, and it's not even done. They're still working on it. Today they didn't even get to a point where we needed to put boxes in somewhere, so that didn't even happen today. We worked on, man, I'm just drawing a blank. I feel like I did so much today, but also so little. So I prefabricated myself about 20 boxes. I got to break out my electric screwdriver, which I need to remember to charge tonight. It's a DeWalt 12 volt. That is the tool of the day, but I don't have it on me. It's in the trunk. I just forgot to pull over and get it out before I started working like I normally, or before I start filming like I normally do. I prefabricated all these boxes, taped them all up, and I made sure to use tape. I try to use tape sparingly. The other guys do not. They just mash tape on there. I also got to mess with gangable boxes today, which I haven't really played around with. I've kind of toyed with them here and there, but I've never really just mashed them together. And so I got gangable boxes, made up some 4 gang boxes, knocked out 2 3/4-inch holes. I was glad to have my lineman's pliers on my belt today because I didn't need to go and get my tool bag I guess I didn't need my tool bag because I needed channel locks. But I had my lineman pliers right there on me, so I'm sure it saved me some amount of time to not have to go and fetch them. Same thing with my Sharpie. One thing about my Sharpie, which is, I say Sharpie, but it's a Milwaukee ink saw, is I lost the lid today. I couldn't find it for the longest time, and then I ended up finding it later in the day. But for, I don't know, 8 hours, no, probably not that long, probably about 5 hours, the lid was off. And it still writes just fine. I made sure to label everything. We broke out a bunch of boxes for, like, let's see, we had 2 boxes of 1/2-inch EMT set screw connectors, 2 boxes of 1/2-inch EMT set screw couplings, 2 boxes of 3 boxes of EMT set screw, 4 boxes of EMT set screw couplings. Those are 4 to a box, and those are 25 to a box, and we had 100 of them. So 4 boxes of 3/4-inch EMT set screw connectors. Whew, that's a mouthful. We had 4 boxes of 3/4-inch EMT set screw couplers. And so yeah, we constructed those boxes. We constructed all those prefab boxes. So to break down the whole process for me, I would take a 4-inch box. I would knock out a half-inch knockout in the top center. I would get in there with my lineman pliers and I would rip the knockout out. I would reach down and grab a 1/2-inch set screw connector, and I would take the lock nut on, put the set screw connector in the box, tighten up the lock nut, which the lock nut tightening, I took me a while to figure it out how I actually had to do it, but I ended up getting it figured out, where I would get it most of the way tightened and finish it off with the channel locks. I figured out that it only took about a quarter turn once it was finger tightened to get the channel locks, and getting the mechanics down in my hand was quite I wouldn't say an ordeal, but it took me some time. I would put that on, and then I would tape. I would tape up, or then I would, after the 1/2-inch set screw connector, I would put a ground stinger in, which is, I think we buy ones from Ideal, and it's just like maybe a 9-inch piece of green insulated wire that's been stripped on both ends, wrapped around a green screw. And so I would take my electric screwdriver. First of all, I would bend it pointing up, so that way it was perpendicular, like it formed a 90-degree angle. And then I would put my screwdriver tip in the ground screw, and I'd stick it right on the ground hole, and I would go ahead and twist my screwdriver and get it screwed in there, and I'd wrap it around, force it down in the hole. I'd kind of try to tuck it back behind the set screw connector. And then I would put the 2-inch mud ring on, and I would tighten it up. After all that was done, I would take tape, and I would tape the cover of the mud ring. I would tape the corner holes of the mud ring, all the holes on the side, all the holes in the back. I would then put a 30-inch piece of EMT in the set screw connector. I would tighten the set screw connector down, and I did that over and over and over and over again. And I just kind of did it in groups, to where I kind of had it in a rhythm. I should probably get some headphones, because I work really well on repetitive tasks. I work really well while I'm listening to music, and so that would help me out quite a bit. From there, we did a little bit of dirt work. There were 5 lines, 3 2-inch PVCs and 2 1-inch PVC lines that we had to run about another 40 feet. Now those were just stubbed out into the dirt and there for data. So he dug those up. We put more lines on them and buried them. One of the guys that I was working with, we had some straight pieces of PVC sticking up out of the ground where we were stubbed waiting for a quasi box, and he put his hand on one and kind of leaned on it, and it just popped. And so he was like, "Oh no, I broke it." And we dug down, and the coupling was broke off, and my boss said that there's no way that he broke it just by kind of leaning on it a little bit, that someone had to have ran it over. So that took us not a couple of hours, but I'd say an hour and a half to fix, to get underneath the coupling, move all the dirt out, clean the pipe, glue the pipe, glue the new coupling, glue the new 90, glue the new coupling, put a different length of pipe on there. And then after we were done with that, we went to lunch. And after we got back from lunch, my boss rolled back up, and he had me go do a little bit of a different task. So they're working on another pad, which is the band room, and they are digging out like I think he called it a fill stop. I'm not really sure what he called it. Anyways, they're filling out the outside framework of concrete, and my boss wanted me to stand there and watch, because there's a 4-inch galvanized pipe, which is our service lateral. There's a 4-inch galvanized pipe going into where the pad is going to be, and we've got it marked with PVC on one side and PVC on the other that's sticking straight up. They're 36 inches deep, but the digging guy's only digging 30 inches deep, so I'm really not sure why I was even there. I don't feel like it was necessary, but I stood there for an hour and watched. They ended up taking a break and just stood around the whole time. I didn't understand why they weren't working personally, but I don't do their job, so I can't judge them. I got a new drill at home, or an impact wrench. I picked up a DeWalt impact wrench, 20 volt, off of eBay for $50 and change. And then I also picked up an attachment on eBay to an impact ready DeWalt reamer, so that way I don't have to ream by hand anymore. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get channel locks to lock down the pipe, and I'm going to just ream with that, and that's going to save me a lot of wrist turns. My arm is sore from the other day. My arm is still sore from the other day. Last week, whenever I reamed so much conduit. Like I said, tool of the day is my DeWalt 12 volt screwdriver. It's been my tool of the day before, I think, but it's definitely the tool of the day today while I was just doing that prefab work, because I could have done it all with a screwdriver. It's not like it made it too much terribly easier. Well, it made it easier, but it's not like it was already hard. It was just screwdriver turns. But it definitely took a little bit of the strain off my wrist. Like I said, my right arm's a little bit sore from all that reaming, so I cleaned that up. I did get these suspenders. I was tired of my pants falling down, so not falling down. When I got down on my hands and knees to work, or whenever I bent over to pick something up, I could feel the breeze on my backside, so I was getting tired of that. So I picked up these suspenders for like $8 at Walmart. They go under my hoodie, so I like them. They're fine. They're functional. If I go to the point where I'm not wearing a hoodie every day, I might reconsider, and I might put them like maybe under my shirt and leave my shirt untucked. But I think I'll leave my shirt untucked. It just depends on how I like them and how I don't like them. They make me feel kind of squat, which is kind of annoying. But I think that's really the majority of my day. I had golden chick for lunch. I had chicken tenders, potato salad, and a roll. That's it. That was my day in a nutshell. It was a pretty simple day. Didn't do a whole lot of work, or didn't do a whole lot of hard work. But I did stay busy the whole day, which was cool. One thing that did happen, which I know I end these videos a couple times every time I do them, but I always think of something else. One thing that did happen was, it was about 3:15. It was almost quitting time, and they were backfilling this hole. Well, Jose was backfilling this hole. The other two guys were just kind of watching him. And I looked over and I saw all of our prefab station was still a mess. So I walked over there and I finished labeling prefab boxes, laid everything out, put it all on this card, stacked everything up nice and neat. I chalked the wheels so that way it wouldn't roll anywhere. And I think my boss is going to be really thankful for that, because it does make us look good that we're keeping it clean. And if it wasn't for me, it wouldn't have been that clean. I'm sure they would have kicked the boxes over or something and kind of made a pile out of them. But it really is. It really is something I like to do, just to keep our work area clean. So, alright, I guess that's it for me. I'm headed home. I got 20 minutes left, 30 minutes left. So, have a good day. Bye-bye.